Hi everybody, Michelle here. I'm going to just jump right in today because up until now we've just been curious observers of our mental and physical experience. Even when we were observing our thoughts, we were just observing. And there's enormous value to this simple noticing and labeling our thoughts as thoughts. But once we've noticed that our thoughts are not necessarily true and we've taken a look at them, we can start to work with our thoughts and with whatever is going on inside our minds. We don't have to just observe them. Many of our problems happen when we get hooked or locked into whatever we're thinking. To illustrate this, in acceptance and commitment therapy, practitioners often use a metaphor of putting a large piece of paper right in front of your eyes, holding it there really tight, and then trying to see the world around you fully and clearly. This metaphor shows how it's impossible to see the big picture and the world clearly when your mind is glued to something that's blocking your vision. Our thoughts can do that to us. In fact, when we're daydreaming or lost in thought, we're often not sensing anything that's happening in the real world around us. When we work with our thoughts, our goal is to be able to hold the paper, but not hold it so tight that it blinds us or it prevents us from being in our lives. Not so tight that it diverts your attention and your energy from where it's needed. Holding our thoughts tightly can be exhausting, and we don't need to be unnecessarily exhausted. We're trying to improve ourselves and enhance our lives. Most of the resources we're working to cultivate, resilience, persistence, vitality, and especially willpower, these require energy. And if you're using up your energy hanging on to your thoughts, you're doing yourself double damage by losing out on reality and by depleting your inner resources. These mindfulness exercises are the key to our freedom from being hooked by our thoughts and our emotions and sensations and cravings. As we practiced the other day, we can be mindful of our thoughts and label them. And practicing this gives us mental flexibility and resilience. So today, why don't we play around a little bit with some more ways to work with our thoughts. So make yourself comfortable and allow your eyes to close. And take a nice few breaths. And just allow whatever comes to your mind to come to your mind. Noticing what shows up. And as your thoughts show up, watch them and begin again by labeling them. Labeling these thoughts. I'm aware that my mind is producing thoughts about this, or I'm noticing that I'm thinking about that. Rather than being in the movie that's playing in your mind, we can be watching the movie. By shifting ourselves outside of the story, we can keep ourselves from getting caught up in the story. We can be connected to the story without being owned by the story. And as you notice your thoughts, why don't you take a real close look at the form of your thoughts? Do your thoughts slowly materialize, or do they just pop up? Just like you noticed where you found your breath a couple of weeks ago when we started doing this work, notice where you find your thoughts. Do your thoughts seem to take up a mental space? Is there a physical feeling associated with a particular thought? Do you notice the thought being somewhere in your body? High up or low down? You may or may not experience your thoughts in space, and there's no right or wrong. You're just taking a super close look right now at the mental objects that are showing up for you. Do your thoughts seem loud? Or are they quiet, like whispers? Do many show up at once, or do they slowly trickle? Just take the next couple of minutes noticing the form and presence, not just the content of these products of your mind. And when you do get hooked by a thought, what is it like to come back to your breath? Do you have to pull away hard, or do you just drift back? Or does it differ with different thoughts? And you can imagine your thoughts drifting. Imagine them flowing by like leaves on a stream as you experience each thought. You can imagine the thought just drifting and flowing away on the river of your consciousness. Thoughts coming and going and flowing past and drifting. You can choose to allow your thoughts to drift while you remain present. And you can also question your thoughts, which is one of the hallmark methods of cognitive behavioral therapy, a very effective form of therapy. Once you're looking at your thoughts, noticing them as thoughts rather than being stuck to them, you can ask yourself, hey, where did this thought come from? Does this thought help me? If I believe this thought, what will happen? Where does this thought lead me? Does this thought lead me to other thoughts or to other emotions or behaviors? Does this thought help me? Help me to be the person I want to be or to get where I'm going? You could spend a few more minutes now just questioning your thoughts. Where did these thoughts come from? Do these thoughts help me? Are these thoughts true? Does this thought make me want to take some sort of action? Does this thought create any sort of emotion? And do you find that some of your thoughts change when you question them? Do they stand up to your scrutiny? Do they hang on? Do they get stronger or do they get weaker? Do they show themselves to be unhelpful or do they prove to feel very strong and real? And of course, noticing if anything hooked us, noting that event. I was hooked by my thought about whatever, and letting it go. All of these techniques of working with thoughts we're practicing today are among many ways we can begin. We're just scratching the surface of the ways that mindfulness allows us to begin to change our relationship with our thoughts, to see them clearly, to neutralize their meaning and strip them of their power if that serves us. And as you continue to practice mindfulness, your capacity to own your mind will continue to grow. And with that capacity, you're going to continue to strengthen all your success resources, rewiring yourself and integrating your brain, your mind, and your body each day. And whether you had a profound or a subtle experience of this practice, it doesn't matter. It's doing the practice that changes you, that rewires you, and that gives you freedom. So take another couple of breaths right now and bring your attention back to the room, opening your eyes and stretching a little if you feel tight at all. Because today you've begun to work with the contents of your mind and you've moved beyond just the capacity to observe, which is unbelievably powerful on its own. But today you've begun to change your relationship with your thoughts. And each day you own and you create yourself and your life more and more. So I will talk to you tomorrow.